The conversation of God is getting so much more controversial these days, especially, I think even just having an opinion on basically anything is getting much more controversial just because so many people are able to get or ostracized based off of their opinions or their thoughts, their beliefs, and it's no longer really even a conversation. It's more of just like you believe this, get away from me, you're this kind of person, rather than like a constructive conversation. And I guess that's what's driving me to speak more about the conversation of God. Because I think in my personal life, I think I hang around like a lot of amazing, great people, but some I think are afraid of the term God or the conversation with God, what it means to be around God, what is spirituality. Especially here up in Utah, a lot of people have like religious traumas and stuff like that, and I completely understand. I just think that maybe we could start moving in the direction of talking more about it, because I think that the issues that a lot of youth are starting to have are like feelings of incompleteness or feelings of not being whole or spiritual emptiness, or not feeling like they're loved or not feeling important enough, or not having direction in life, feeling completely lost. I think there are issues of like relationships, dietary issues, and a lot of more mental health issues that arise as well. And I know like so many people are like, you're not like a psychiatrist, like you can't talk about those kinds of things, but I'm just talking about from personal experience of also experiencing feeling really, really sad and down in the dumps and probably on the verge of suicide, honestly. So feeling as if I've lost my mind and that I was completely alone, to not having any direction, to not feeling like I could sit down and feel like I had faith, and not feeling comfortable in my own skin or my own mind, and it's genuinely just not wanting to be around anymore. And this time came at my age around 20, where I got into, it's literally just like anguish, like where your mind is literally just tearing you apart and it's hard to just exist. And that feeling, I think, genuinely arose from the lack of awareness of what God is. The lack of awareness of who I am, the lack of awareness of what it means to have mind, body, and soul. The lack of understanding of what goes in my body affects my mood and my temperament and the way that I see the world. And I think that truly, since from the beginning of, let's say like alcoholism, or even more than alcoholism, you know what I mean? And moving in that direction, it can be super, super difficult, because you start becoming so much more aware. It's like unearned knowledge, right? You start using these substances or alcohol or whatever, and then you start gaining knowledge without having the spiritual experience behind it. And so there's a really large cognitive dissonance that happens. And reading books like the Bible, or forget about the Bible, let's talk about like spiritual books like Conversations with God, or reading books like Think and Grow Rich, and I don't know, there's a bunch of different books that you could start reading. One short one is like The Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard, although this is not revolving directly around God, right? Like once you start going into Buddhism and meditation and all of those things, you'll start to see the connection between all of them. Noticing that the foods that you eat directly correlate with your mental attitude, the habits inside of your mind, and the way that you habitually think about others causes a reflection into yourself and gives you a feeling of either anguish or pleasure. Things like that come from really just understanding how the mind works at a fundamental level, and it's explained in contemporary terms or colloquial language in Think and Grow Rich, or in books like Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard, or in Reality Transurfing, and books such as that. And then you have like these very difficult books to read. I think the Bhagavad Gita, the Bible, the Torah, the Quran. They kind of have the same things, but it's a little bit more difficult to interpret because of the words and the things that we say in modern day language. But once you start capturing not only the two different book types, which is just like colloquial language of like Think and Grow Rich, Feeling is the Secret, Conversations with God, Reality Transurfing, the Bhagavad Gita, the Bible, Torah, all of those, and then you connect that with having the spiritual experience that you've had with whatever substance you've been using, you'll have a nice triad of connection that you can start all connecting together. So you can see that all of these resources, imagine my hands being the resources, point to the center, which is hollow, which would be God and the answer and what it really means. And so the idea of God being everything and all, and you having direct lineage to God, and hell really is just being in a level of anguish. So hell is a place on earth. Really and truly, it's inside of your mind. It's the way that you think. It's the way that you look at the world. And being able to control the things that you eat, the way that you think, and all of those things allow you to live in heaven on earth, right? And so that's the beautiful thing about, I think, spirituality and God in of itself. And so not to diminish the meaning of what it means to be God, and not mean to be God, but what it means to go to church and all of those things, because they have their own right and their own things that they do. But I just think it's so important to keep open ears on all of the subjects so that you can start making your own discernments. But if you close your ears to the Bible and God, you're like, no, I don't want to hear that. But you listen to spirituality, you're missing some of the picture. And that entire whole photo frame for you, it gets a little distorted because you miss the part that you were probably raised in. And a major reason, right, for me to have moved back into Christianity was because it is my clearest and fastest way to God. It's inside of my habits. It's inside of my subconscious mind as a child. Like, I grew up Christian, right? And so me being able to sit down and get on my knees and pray has a very significant meaning to me personally. Now, you could have been raised whichever way, but if you're fighting that Christianity, like I was at some point as well, you're unable to connect directly with God because you're fighting with your natural affinity. And you need to find that affinity so you can move towards God and actually just grip on and have something. And then eventually, once you have that natural affinity, you've used it, and then you can start moving away from whatever organized religion you'd like to move away from and find your own religion within yourself. Because that's really all it is. Is that all that is you, right? And so once you get there and you realize that you're not your mind, you're not your body, you're not your feelings, you're not your emotions, but you're the conscious awareness of all of these things, you can step away. But you need to start clinging on to something in the beginning so that you can have a path to find out where your conscious awareness is so that you can move and separate from this clinging. And that might just sound really weird and like hoodoo, voodoo, wap, bap, but yeah. That's kind of where it moves towards. All of this meditation, all these things come from a level of peace, from detachment. And that detachment is not really a detachment at all. It's a reconnection with God, which is all. So I just want to open up that conversation again with you. So follow me for more stuff like this. I mean, I just talk about my life daily, but I've been reading a lot more books on meditation again recently. And it's very important to notice that if you look into manifestation at all, if forget about God, if you want to move into the world of manifestation, you'll realize very quickly that everyone talks about God. Anyone that's done something super significant, they always talk about God in some regard or some fashion, or the connection of God and the universe and spirituality. So I wish you the best of luck. I love you. Bye.